These are the Lumos Firefly smart bike lights. I backed them on Kickstarter and they came in earlier this summer. I've really been enjoying using them. To me, they are the first true smart bike light system because you can take 8 of these and a Lumos smart bike helmet and sync them all together into a connected system. You can have turn lights, you can have brake lights, you can have all sorts of things synced together to make it a nice cohesive system. They do come with a price tag and there's some small flaws. So let's jump in to figuring out if these potentially are for you with the 7 things I think you should know about these lights. Let's start off with light functions. Once you sync these lights up with your phone using the Lumos app, you can turn them into headlights that are white, taillights that are red. You can decide how they're blinking, and then you can also say which side of your bike they're on to turn them into turn signals, either using your phone or a separate remote to hit that left and right button. This, to me, is really the standout feature because you no longer need a dedicated front or rear light. You can just decide which one you want it to be, and they become smart lights when you use the remote or the app on your phone. Lumos started out as a smart bike helmet with fancy lights that you can program using your phone. These can also sync with that smart bike helmet, making everything blink in unison, or on some of their newer helmets, you can use the turn signals and it's gonna blink all of the lights, including your helmet, on one side to really show a turn signal. In the past, I've tried different lights that said they were turn signals, but they were just too small and singular that no one knew that it was a blinking yellow light to be a signal and just thought maybe something was wrong with my light. Now, that syncing process is really quite easy to use. I will say every once in a while I've had to unpair and repair the lights. The good news is you can just use the little side button and use them as blinky lights. The brightness and flashing patterns are customizable per light within the app. Or again, if you're lazy like me sometimes, I just use the button on the side, especially when I'm putting them on the back of my kid's bike helmet. They don't need to do anything special, they just need a blink. So I just hit that button a few times and I now have an easy to use blinky light. Now, one function I really enjoy about the lights is that I just need to turn off one of them and it turns off all of the synced lights. Now, the biggest miss in light functions I have found is that they don't have any motion activation besides the brake light, which is actually being triggered by that additional remote. I wish they would turn on automatically with movement, or they would turn off if they're sitting long enough. My arc light pedals do this, and there's some other lights from Light in Motion that do this. And to me, this is kind of the future of lighting, where they're truly smart, where they turn on and off. Moving on to light brightness, because this is just as important as the functions. Based on a Lumos article about lumens, they talk about why they don't believe in lumens, which I found very interesting because they're called Lumos. The lights themselves are 38 lumens, 84 lumens for the brake lights, and 48 lumens for turn signals. Those lumens may not sound bright, and they aren't. They're not something I would use by themselves, especially during the day as daylight running lights. They are pretty bright when it's dark out. I do plan on having some basic end of the driveway brightness test against popular competitors, but based on those claimed lumens, again, I wouldn't run these lights by themselves unless it's a fairly dark setup and they're gonna stand out. I will save you the nerdery around lights right now. Just know that these are simply to help you be seen. And the pros are going to be that they sync all together and that they're working as turn lights. Let's move on to how these mount, because I think this is a unique standout feature. And they're all based around the fact that the back of the Firefly is magnetic. This is the standard mount that comes with each light. You can mount them a few ways. This right now is on the back of my daughter's helmet with a long piece of Velcro. They also come with rubber straps, and I've personally been using them mostly with zip ties to hard mount them to things like the back of my cargo bike, GSD. Some helmets I've been using zip ties so that they don't get cut off when I'm locked up. So I love that there's different ways to mount this mount. I so far have found the magnets to be super sturdy, but they have added some of these additional clips that make it so you have to physically unclip it in order to pull the light out. But one of the things I really love about these lights is that I can just move them quickly between my bike, my kids' bike helmets, just boop, boop, boop. And I have lights instead of making sure I have the right clip on their bike or something like that. I can just move these so quickly. Lumos also recently announced the Ultra Fly helmet, which has an integrated magnetic harness for a light to snap into the back. There are also accessories I haven't used yet, like bar end mounts, and there is a turn signal mount that is coming in the future. The battery inside each of these lights is 500 milliamp hours. Lumos gives a very vague answer of 2.5 to 35 hours of runtime and 3 to 5 hours of charge time, with the ability of checking the charge status in the Lumos app if these things are synced. Lumos took a unique direction for these lights when it comes to charging, which I don't fully agree with. There is no charging port on these lights. You must either use their charging cradle or the quad charging mat. This to me is a bit of a bummer because it means I have to carry around one of those things, either the cradle or the charging mat, if I want to be able to charge on the go. I also can't charge this light when it is running. Typically, this isn't a big deal in my normal life, but it does come in handy if I realize my light is dead and I need to go somewhere. I can just plug in a USB-C cable into a battery bank and go off. These, I'm gonna have to switch lights and hopefully it's charged. The lights don't automatically come with chargers, which I think is okay. The charging cradle is $10 if you're ordering it with the light, and then $20 after. The quad charging mat is an additional $50. And this is, to me, one of the cool features of these lights. You can store and charge 4 of these lights at once using one USB-C plug at the bottom. It's super compact. It's how I store and transport my lights. So I take them all off my bike or my kids' helmets, put them in this, throw this in my bag, and they're nice, compact, and I'm not worried about the lights being stolen from my bike. For that battery run time, my plan is to do some basic battery bench test with them sitting outside when it's 50 to 55 degrees in one of the blinking modes to see how long they last. I'm not going to go into super detail in this video about the setup and the Lumos app. I think Lumos did a pretty good job of it themselves with a video, which I'll link to below. But let's quickly skim through it with setting up a set of 4 new lights. First, we're going to open up the app, turn on one light that you want to be synced, and hold it for a few seconds. Once you see it available to connect, move it to the sync tab at the bottom. This is where you move the light to which location and function you want. Within the app, you can also click on the light, which isn't super intuitive, click on the settings, and change the light brightness and strobe settings. I have had it where a couple of times the lights didn't sync properly, but I just moved them out of the sync area, reset the light and my app, turned it all back on, and moved the light back to where I wanted it. Once you determine what type of light this needs to be, like a front or back light, I recommend using one of their supplied stickers to stick to the back. So in my family, the cat is the front light and the monkey is the back light. Use whatever you want, but I found the stickers to be the easiest to see to quickly know where to put this light on my bike. Warranty and battery replacement. So these lights come with a limited 1-year warranty. Unfortunately, it does not look like the batteries are replaceable, but I have inquired about it. I don't love this, but I recognize that shipping these back to probably Asia to get a battery replaced is also not sustainable or financially worth it. Price. One of these lights is $50, but that comes with no way to charge it. It does come with harness, shims, and a couple of different mounting strap options. The most common bundle I see selling is going to be the 2 light with 1 charging cradle for $100. Or something like this setup with 4 lights at $180 and then add the $50 quad charging mat. So in total, this is $230 for lights, the mat, and all the accessories that I use. Now, I switch these lights between my road bike, my cargo bikes, my kids' bikes. So I will say it is a hefty price tag, but I find that I'm able to use these lights much easier between multiple bikes instead of having a dedicated light for each kid's helmet, each kid's bike, my helmet, my road bike. If not, I would have different adapters, I would have all sorts of things. I love that I can just take the lights off once I'm done riding, put it in this, charge it up, and use it on any of my bikes. I would add $35 for the remote if you want to easily use them as turn and brake lights. These are the 7 things that I really have found fascinating about these lights. And I've spent a decent amount of time with them. Granted, it's not fall or winter time, so I'm super interested to see how they handle water, cold, and the longer term durability of battery life as I discharge and charge multiple times a week. I'm also working on standardizing a bike light test in my super dark driveway to show distance, the light beam throw, and a few other things for bike lights this winter. Let me know what would be helpful for you to see for either these lights, but also just bike lights in general. If you're into nerding about bike lights, I will probably have a dedicated video about how I'm going to be setting up this bike light test in my driveway for feedback before I start truly testing. In conclusion, these are fantastic smart bike lights that no one is competing with. As they design additional things like this Ultrafly helmet, it is only going to make the system better. Obviously, they aren't cheap, but I hope with time the price is driven down with the economy of scale and competition. With the smaller size of the battery, lacking of charging while using, and the lower end of lumens, to me, these lights are truly falling into additional safety accessories and not the light that I would rely on as my main option day and night. As always, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think about these lights and what you want to be tested. Till next time, stay well, stay good, and remember to bike more and worry less.